Hey, what is up ladies and gentlemen, I'm Mickey Mouse here once again, and I'm back for some more yet again for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to more Let's Play of Super Mario Kart for the Super Nintendo / Super Famicom for those who lived in Japan. So, last time we have managed to go through the Flower Cup in 150cc, and today, for this episode in particular, is the fact that we're going to be moving on to the third cup in 150cc class, this time around in Star Cup. So this means this will be the last time we're going to be seeing, or the final time we're going to be driving through Koopa Beach 1 and Choco Island 2 and Vanilla Lake 1, Bowser Castle 3, and of course Mario Circuit 4. So either way, I think this might actually be the last time or the final time we're going to be driving through between Choco Island environment as well as the Bowser Castle environment, and also same applies for the Mario Circuit tracks environment, because until whenever we get to the finale portion of this Let's Play, specifically the Special Cup, the ultimate challenge of the entire game in my opinion, and that was the fact that we're going to be able to come across into Vanilla Lake for the final time until tomorrow, and same applies for Donut Plains, and even Koopa Beach, and also Ghost Valley courses, and also SNES Rainbow Road, or to be more specifically, the first ever Rainbow Road in the entire Mario Kart games. So, you probably get the idea for that. And also, if you couldn't tell already, I'm going to be selecting Toad for this particular cup as it is, despite how the handling itself might be pretty difficult to handle, but at least I might be okay with this, at least for the most part. I repeat that, for the most part. So, again, not much else to talk about this at this point today, guys, apart from the fact that, well, today's day is the forms of, the 1st of February today in 2020, so we've got about, I would say 13 days left until the Sonic the Hedgehog movie was about to be on its way, during on the big screen on the cinema, which I'm actually really looking forward to it. I'm not sure if it's going to be perfect or anything like that. There might be some good parts, as I mentioned this like countless amount of times, as of course Sonic's better design than the forms of how it does it on last year. And well, let's just see what happens until the actual reviews is actually going to turn out, and during at some point in a couple of days time. So yeah, it should be exciting. So and also, I cannot even believe we're actually on to the second month of 2020 already, probably because of how the fact that, geez, we actually did manage to able to, well, get these days done and over with in during about, man, time flies, I'm telling you. But anyway, so yeah, another thing I'd like to discuss upon, and that was the fact that, yes, I have managed to try out BioLive as a character, and sure enough, I've never get a chance to play as him. You ever know why? Because I'm just still not impressed with this. And second, is that, well, they did manage to offer us a stage in during the forms of Fire Emblem 3 Houses or something like that. I'm not exactly sure what that stage is called, probably because I've never actually going to play those games from now on. I just found that stage, well, after I managed to purchase the actual DLC 5, I just found that particular new stage utterly boring to be honest. Probably because we've seen the actual transported to a different part of the stage many times before, especially ever since during the forms of, well, they obviously did that in Port Town Arrow Dive, and also same applies for Prism Tower from the likes of the 3DS Smash Bros. Title, and also same applies for Skyloft from Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U, and also same applies for the most recently, the Dragon Quest XI's kind of stage, and I suppose that's pretty much it. But what makes that stage I'm talking about from Fire Emblem 3 Houses and Smash Ultimate kind of boring than the rest is that it just feels kind of gloomy to me. Like, it's nothing that much stimulating for me though, especially noticeable how that was like, although there does have some variety in backgrounds, but most of the time you're going to be spending most of your time in a building or inside the actual castle, and sometimes in the empty bridges, and also during the empty market, and it's just, oh, I'm sorry, I just found that stage utterly boring to go through, especially I did manage to test it out for myself. Even especially noticeable that, speaking of which actually, I managed to recently purchase those Mii outfits, specifically the both Mii gunners, potentially, which there are obviously Sans from Undertale, just because I feel like it, and also, the most famously, Cuphead, which I kinda wish if Cuphead was supposed to be in the game, but of course it was a third-party character, so that means that the ND type of character, at least it's nice to be able to actually include Cuphead as a Mii costume character, which I'm quite pleased about it, but it's just a shame that it's not a full-fledged character, it's just basically just plays your Mii and stuff like that, which I'm okay with, but anyway though, let's not talk about it right now. But thankfully though, I did manage to able to got those two most important Mii costumes due to the gold points I managed to spend on for my Nintendo Switch account, so pretty cool though, especially noticeable if the new games are about to come, and especially noticeable if the next set of DLC will be on its way, then I could appreciate if I was going to be able to utilize the gold points as in discounts, so that should be about it. And here we go guys, on to the final time we're going to be seeing a Bowser Castle stage in this game. And until when we get to Mario Kart 64, there was only one of them. And until Super Circuits around, or Super Circuit came around, I think it only contains like 4 of them, which is quite a lot, considering how the fact that, well, that particular game feels like a combination of both Super Mario Kart and Mario Kart 64 at the same time, probably because of how the fact that, well, we'll discuss more to that until whenever we get to that game engine at some point in summer this year, so, yeah, I guess sounds about right, so, and I suppose another thing I'd like to say is the fact that, speaking of which actually, is that similar to the films of the Sonic movie is almost going to be releasing, the Valentine's Day is almost getting close too, so even then, that I still found it very, very weird to able to release the Sonic movie around the same time as when the Valentine's is about to be getting closer, so I still find it a little bit weird, but at least that's summarized as such, so, alright, so let's go ahead and just drive along for a moment. Yeah, I will admit though right away that the only thing I don't like about the Bowser Castle stages, including the last track in the game, Rainbow Road, is the fact that there's gonna be a lot of thwomps all over the place, and as a result, I keep on getting myself screwed over, or even in this case got completely wrecked by those thwomps that usually just manage to able to actually come down. Well, it's not so bad in lap 1, but until lap 2 and beyond, that it just now starts moving, and as a result, it can give you a lot of, like, troublesome points, especially if you really want to guarantee to claim first place. Well, good luck with that, because most of the time you would able to actually just to realize that, well, if you keep on bumping into those thwomps and all that such, well, you're probably guaranteed to get the amount of slowdown. Well, it's not so much for a slowdown in the actual gameplay, it's more accurately your speed will get decreasing, so that's the only downside I'm telling you for those Bowser Castle stages, I have to be honest with you. But thankfully though, that was the last time we're going to be seeing the Bowser Castle levels, and talking of which actually, is the fact that we are now moving on to the final track in the forms of, well, obviously the Star Cup, and also this is the last time we're going to be seeing Mario Circuit 4. So it doesn't matter if I was going to be on second or first, well, I usually try to describe that as such, because most of the time that, you know, the rubber banding AI in this game is like super ridiculous. Well, at least it's nothing like how it did on Mario Kart 64. They always, well, one of those players always attempted trying to catch up in the forms of 150cc class, and it's probably just me, but I'm pretty sure I had a little bit of a struggling moments noticing or something like that. I've no idea why I'm truly saying that right now, probably because of how the fact that once again, there was not much else to talk about, especially because that we're really hoping that during this month on February, at least we're hoping to get that specific direct. I'm really hoping that would be the case, especially how, although this, I should probably point things out right away, I really don't think that the next few Mario games will be out for the Nintendo 3DS as of now, because I did look up on the Mario Wikipedia website, and apparently, you know that with the actual, the poor sale remake of Mario & Luigi Bowser's Inside Story plus Bowser Jr.'s Journey, that you know that game has been sold so poorly. I think this is generally, without doubt, the final Mario game to be released on the 3DS now, because as far as I'm aware, I did recently look upon the research and turns out it was actually true. Probably due to about the fact that, well, we're going to be moving on to the Switch, and also same applies for the actual selling points has actually gone pretty low ever since during the forms of, well, specifically, ever since, like, the majority of the Wii U, and also same applies for, the Nintendo's obscure, 3D goggles device, which is, of course, you know exactly what I'm talking about, is the stupid Virtual Boy, which, yeah, it still sucks. Although, potentially speaking, oddly enough, however, though, is the fact that originally, after when this game was released in 1992, apparently they're going to be making a sequel to this, known as Mario Kart Virtual Boy, but they never saw the light of day, probably because of how the fact that Nintendo's Virtual Boy didn't sell that well, and also a commercial failure. So as a result, they ended up by the forms of the sequel to Mario Kart into Mario Kart 64 on the Nintendo 64 instead. Which I don't mind that at all, because either way though, I always enjoy one of those games, so... Anyway though, so we did manage to claim first place in all of the tracks of how Star Cup actually has to offer in 150cc. And talking of which actually, we've only got one cup left, and that appears to be on the Ultimate Cup, or the Ultimate Toughest Cup in this game, which is of course the Special Cup in 150cc, so... yeah, I guess we'll leave things up here. So join me tomorrow for the finale portion of Super Mario Kart, is that we are hoping going to be hitting onto the Special Cup on 150cc. So see you then. Later, fellas.